My friends on the other side never had any problem creating $2 trillion in tax cuts for the very wealthy. Look, I don't think you shouldn't be able to make $1 million or $1 billion. I'm a capitalist, but guess what? I'm also listed for 36 years as the poorest man in the Congress.
Good news, folks. The House has approved the infrastructure bill, and many states will now be receiving billions of dollars that they can use for state stimulus checks. So hopefully, your state governor sends out their own stimulus checks. And the $1 trillion infrastructure plan that now goes to Biden's desk has money for roads and bridges, as well as broadband internet. The new law promises to reach almost every corner of the country. It's a historic investment that the president has compared to building the Transcontinental Railroad. Let's get into the most important stimulus check news first, everybody. The $39 billion for public transit in the legislation would expand transportation systems, improve accessibility for people with disabilities, and provide dollars to state and local governments to buy zero-emission and low-emission buses. To reduce Amtrak's maintenance backlog, the bill provides $66 billion to improve the rail service.
The generalities, hearing what Mr. Manchin and frankly, Sinema are saying. And if they want to negotiate, let's negotiate. But when you got the overwhelming majority of the American people, the overwhelming majority of the Democratic House and Senate caucus, when you got the President of the United States, it's not a 50-50 deal. Mr. Manchin deserves to be heard. He deserves to get some compromises, but it is wrong for one or two people to think that they can dictate the outcome of this process.
We cannot continue to have God knows how many seniors who are unable to communicate and listen to their grandchildren or their friends because they can't afford the outrageous cost of hearing aids. And people cannot read newspapers because they can't afford eyeglasses. And that is why, as we continue the fight for a Medicare for all single-payer system, at least now, we have got to guarantee that Medicare cover dental care, eyeglasses, and hearing aids. Truth of the matter is, as you have heard from Pramila and Maurice and others, the overwhelming majority of the American people, for decades, we have ignored the needs of working families. The very rich have been getting richer, and you got billionaires and large corporations paying nothing in taxes. This bill will substantially raise taxes on the richest people in this country.
Well before the horrendous situation in Japan. I think it's not only the unthinkable, which is apparently happening in Japan today, but if you were to ask any expert what is the most expensive way to produce new energy, you know what it is? It's nuclear energy. Not to mention, you got folks out there talking about dozens of new nuclear plants in America, but they haven't told me where they're going to put the radioactive waste. Yucca Mountain is not going to happen. Where is it going to go? Is it going to go in your state? It's not going to go in my state. We don't want it. I don't know of any state that does want it. So my point is, no, I think the future
failures and the fissures and the fractures in our system. And I'm very excited about the potential that we have, the possibility with the collective hard work of all of the leaders here to really see this through and get it done. And I can't stress enough that this issue of care and caregiving and the care economy and care work, it impacts everyone, regardless of the composition of your household, regardless of your age, regardless of your gender, regardless of your profession. It impacts everyone. And so let's be clear, everyone, whoever you are, should care about this issue and should understand how it impacts our entire society and our country, not to mention our world. So thank you, Senator Tammy Duckworth. Thank you for your longstanding leadership and for being a champion in the United States Congress for caregivers and the work that you continue to do to be a great fighter. Well, it is wonderful to see everyone. I see on the screen over there. And gathered here are the incredible leaders who care for your parents, for your siblings, for your children, people who provide care for other people's families. And caregivers do it all, from helping with finances and medication to preparing meals and providing transportation. Caregiving is hard work. It's hard work. It is.
Now, Janet Yellen and everybody wants Congress to pass the minimum global corporate tax rate. And millions of Americans are now upset at the IRS as they continue to wait for new stimulus payments. Welcome to the channel. This is your fourth stimulus check update. On this channel, I always do my very best in providing you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information.
Half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. This is the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. Yet half of our people are working so hard, and at the end of the week, they've got nothing to show for it. And we got millions of other people in Vermont and Kentucky who are working for starvation wages. And on top of all of that, we have over 90 million of our people who are uninsured, who are underinsured, and cannot go to a doctor when they get sick. And 1 out of 5 Americans, unbelievably, cannot afford to purchase the prescription drugs their doctors prescribe. How insane is that? Despite an extremely competitive global economy, hundreds of thousands of working class young people are unable to afford college, and many millions more are struggling with outrageous levels of student debt.
We need to make sure America builds that future instead of falling behind. We should build those vehicles and the batteries that go into them and the charging stations they're going to need, the 500,000 we're going to build across America. Here in the United States, we should be doing this. And look, if we get this done, we're going to breathe new life into our economy and our workforce, and we're going to breathe cleaner air at the same time. These are the kinds of investments that will get America back in the game and give our workers a chance, a fighting chance. Economists left, right, and center agree. Earlier this year, Moody's on Wall Street projected that the investments in these bills will bring us a higher GDP and an additional 2 million jobs per year and lower unemployment. These bills are not about left versus right, or modern versus progressive, or anything else that pits Americans against one another. These bills are about competitiveness versus complacency. Competitiveness versus complacency. Opportunity versus decay. They're about leading the world, or whether we're going to let the world pass us by. The American people understand what's at stake here. They understand that when workers and families have a better shot, America has a better shot. Given half a